Yeah, it's good.
Thanks,
But
guys.
is again.
Okay, so now
Yeah.
I'll try and wrap this up quickly, but I didn't want. I just wanted to put it all in one package, and so I'll try and fit it. I didn't want to leave bits hanging because this is so important, and you don't want somebody to come away with a scrap. So you don't want a scrap of this. Um, it's a bit too important. So okay, so then basically, yeah, you've got this two-way traffic going up and down, genitals stimulating your brain. So now what's happens is normally then when guys in Hinduism, the language of that Hindu, they'd say you're waking up Kundalini Shakti. It's the energy. But Westerners would say, a Western neurologist would say that you're stimulating that nerve. You're basically getting nerve pulses. Now, the first thing that happens to a novitiate is they can feel like some arousal, often, just basically in your perineum or in your genitals, or get an erection, or vulva gets stimulated, something like that. Then it's like, whoa, I thought meditation was just supposed to be sitting in the dark, becoming Buddha, basically becoming a cold fish. A lot of guys get upset by this. I saw recently just something with Graham Hancock. He told the story about this Buddhist priest recently in Thailand or something, and he got so upset that meditation was giving him an erection that he cut his dick off. And then they made a joke about it because they said, like, he went to the doctor. They took him to the doctor, and the doctor said, no, we can reattach it. And he says, no, don't reattach it. I don't want it to disturb my meditation. But it's like, dude, you're finally making progress in your meditation, and you start mutilating yourself. And so the joke was that Graham Hancock in that was saying, with Buddhism, it said, like, we were against attachment, not against reattachment. So they said he shouldn't have turned down the doctor's offer. But anyway, this is spicy stuff. You won't hear this in your mindfulness training that's given to you if you work on the help desk at AT&T or anything, for obvious reasons. And so, okay, so right, you've got your sacrum bone. The sacrum bone, this is well known in Western traditions, esoteric traditions, Eastern. That. So your sacrum bone is called a sacrum bone, as a sacred bone, because all these sciatic nerves go through, and they knew this. This is the game. So all this sexual energy gets transmuted, and so when you awake Kundalini, it's called like a snake, because you can kind of feel it, the nerve going through your sacrum bone, going up the back of your neck. If you don't know what's going on, it will freak you out, something awful. But they have an analogy why you see so many snakes wound around staffs, and in ancient Egypt and everything. It's secret code for Kundalini going up your spine. And so the point of this is they're kind of blockages. You'll get to blockages, and so they call those the chakra. Now, this is complete horseshit pseudoscience to a Western doctor, but it is for real, because once you know what I'm talking about here, and somebody's explained it to you, then those chakra are real. They're kind of like blockages, and you will get to a certain point until you kind of change gears. So in other words, if you kind of lifestyle changes, if you say drink a lot or have a lot of sex or something like that, you'll only get to like the third chakra, because you just won't have the energy unless you're superhuman. You won't have the energy until you kind of celibate or something, to just basically harness that energy and transmute it into this transcendent energy. So then, if basically you build up libido, and it starts going up your spine, what they would say shushumna, and they say it's prana, breath, but they really mean electrical activity. And so then, if it goes high enough, you get more and more of a trip in your brain. It's clearly you're fucking with the neurotransmitters and stuff like that. And then if you, the energy seems to be rising, and if it gets to the crown chakra, then basically you'll have an orgasm. It's a complete epileptic fit or religious orgasm or something like that, and that's it. Then you've seen the universe, and that's it. You'll never be the same again after that. So yeah, I have my doubts telling you so much of this because most people won't tell you, most gurus won't tell you all this because it becomes an obstacle. As soon as you tell somebody this, then they're trying to get this result, and you're not. You're just supposed to focus on those phosphines and a question like, who am I? You're trying to answer, what is this picture of the universe? You're not trying to say, ooh, I'm trying to jerk myself off and get this fantastic samadhi. That's going to be a supreme obstacle for you. The way I would describe it, okay, I can knock out two questions from Gary. Gary didn't come this time because he got overload from the last thing. So, but he'll watch this video. So Gary asked, how do you know when you're enlightened? He says, how does he know that me, Hugh, is enlightened, and how would he know if he's enlightened? Maybe Gary's enlightened and he just didn't know it. I say, well, the way to see it is it's like, and I told him this already, is when I was a kid, I had these magazines called Look and Learn. There was an English educational thing. I don't know, I'm pretty sure they're not in America, but I really, really loved this magazine, and they would have this feature every week. It was quite popular in the 70s and 80s. You don't see it much now, but they would have this picture and they would say, what is it? And it would be a photograph from a very unusual angle or a fisheye lens or something zoomed in or something. And it would be something like, something very ordinary. It would be, like a cup holder or a saucer or, a cow's face or a bull or something. And then you'd be zoomed in on one nostril. And then people would go, what the fuck? They couldn't see it. It seems like organic. They can see this and that. They almost get it and stuff. And then suddenly, which is equitable to enlightenment, you would say, I got it. It's a bull. You say, like, as soon as you see it, you got it. Say, I got it. It's a bull. And then that's how you know. It's like saying, well, how do you know you're enlightened? Because once you see the bull, you know that's what the picture is intended to be. That's it. There's no doubt in your mind, and you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it as a bull. Then you can go to other people and you can say, they say, I can't see it. How do you see it? And I say, look, there's the horn. Can you see the eye? And they go, no, I can't see it. So then you say, so I hope that's a good analogy for you to say, like, how then do you know that me, Hugh, is enlightened? And you say, like, first of all, it's not a big deal. Enlightenment is not perfection. There's an industry trying to sell you enlightenment as perfection. It's horseshit. Basically, the alien cortex, it wants you to believe that there's kind of this pure, perfect world and stuff. So if you say, I'm enlightened, then instantly you get people's ego up. And especially guys who've been, practicing religious stuff and actually doing esoteric training, they get offended because they're like, who the fuck are you? You know how long I've been doing Buddhism? I've been doing it for 30 years. Yeah, but you never got anywhere. It's like, I can sprout Buddhism, blah, 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 until what do you know about that? And they get very upset. And they say, look, you aren't perfect, okay? And I say, like, yeah, none of us are perfect. It's got nothing to do with perfection. They're thinking that you will get to the ideal of a monk. You'll be a cold fish. You'll never get angry. No bad will happen to you in life. Suddenly, your rose petals will be cast in front of you. You'll never suffer. It's like horseshit. It's basically, we're chimps. What it means is you become a normal person, a normal chimp. They're becoming more and more abnormal. I can tell you some pretty cool stories on this one, but it's a mistake. They're going in the wrong direction. They're thinking, one day I'll be perfect, and our Christians do it. They say like, I'll be like Jesus because Jesus was perfect. They say like, what does that even mean? What does it mean? Is it perfect? It's like, what, do you drink from the other side of a coffee cup? It's like, does it mean that I never make a mistake dialing phone numbers? What the fuck does perfect mean? It's just horseshit. They say like, well, you get angry. And they say like, oh, fucking chimp, like you. What's wrong with you? Chimps get angry. And it's like, and they say, but then you're not perfect. You're just a chimp. I say, yes, what's a perfect chimp? If I give you a perfect chimp, say, this is a perfect chimp. You say, why? Well, look at him. He acts like a chimp. Well, but isn't a perfect chimp some guy that looks like Einstein? And, no, it's a guy that swings through the trees. And so we're chimps, you asshole. So they're thinking in terms of the alien cortex that basically one day you'll reach the perfect. And it's basically what it's romanticizing is its own death. Is one day you'll be dead. Everything will be frozen. It'll be fixed. There won't be any change. There won't be any threat. And they say, yeah, that's a mausoleum. That's what you're talking about. It's basically the communists. They're going to get to this place, this utopia where everything's perfect. And you're going to wake up in the morning and do what? I'll tell you what to do. I'd walk up and kick the Buddha in the balls every fucking morning because that's the only entertainment people would get in a place like that. So basically, it's like Hitler. It's like Hitler. Oh, one day the world will be perfect, and I'll have this perfect socialist utopia. And it's like, yeah, and I can see already. Look at the architecture. There's really a place you want to live. It's like big boulevards, cold marble. Nothing ever happens. It's the end of history. And what do? Just go to the movies and watch how people used to have fun before you fucking ended history. It's a nightmare. So, but that's what the alien cortex wants. It wants ultimate control. It wants fixture, predictability. It wants this chronicity. Basically, it's chronos. Everything will run by clockwork. The trains will run on time. And it's like, that's perfect. That's by Switzerland and cuckoo clocks. It's fucking army place. Nobody wants to live there. And so that's what everybody thinks. So if you say you're enlightened, they think, oh, no, I'm perfect. Like, when if you're Christian, you say, you're perfect when you're like Christ. Oh, right. Well, Christ was a schizophrenic. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. That Christ is clearly diagnosable as a schizophrenic. In the Bible, what's the fuck is perfect about Christ? He's the most flawed person you can possibly imagine. And then he gets up on a cross and they say, look, you can denounce your position in this thing. And he doesn't. He says, no, I'm going to go through with this insanity that I'm the son of God. And he say, well, you deserve everything you got, you twat. Maybe what he should have done was say, no, I made a huge mistake. I'm just an ordinary guy. And then he said, oh, that's a fucking relief. No one has to. But he can't say that because he's got to go through with this huge Eli, lama sabachthani, and now I commend myself to the Father, Spirit. It's like, oh my God, you are fucking batshit crazy. So, but Jesus himself, he gets angry. He goes to what's that thing, that little vignette with the mustard seeds and stuff. He goes to a mustard tree off season where it's not supposed to have any fruit. And he gets nuts because it doesn't have any fruit. And he gets completely mad at this. Why would this tree have fruit outside of season? Doesn't know. And he gets furious and the tree withers and stuff. And it's like, and this is your perfect guy? You're an ass. It's basically, what enlightenment is you become an ordinary person. It's the most unique of things, an ordinary person. Very few of them, ironically enough. So, but enlightenment is, you see yourself in the only way to describe it. You can spend the rest of your life deconstructing that one enlightenment experience, and the hard shit starts after that experience, because you have to understand what the fuck it was and say, was it a leptic fit? Am I totally fucked up in the head? Was it induced by ergot? Did someone slip LSD in my drink this morning? Am I in contact with God? It's like, what? You have to then get this one experience. It becomes a big deal to unpack it. It might take the rest of your life to unpack it. But yeah, I mean, after that, to distill it down is intensely solipsistic. So yeah, so that maybe I'm personalizing this, and then maybe some other enlightened guy would come and say, "No, Hugh's full of shit." But basically, the way I see it is that you first have to intensely acknowledge yourself. In a way, we don't really exist. In kind of pre-enlightenment, we don't really exist. We don't fully acknowledge ourselves in the world. We just kind of, have a bit of imposter syndrome. We're not really here. We respond to our name. We kind of feel a bit lost. And it's like, the enlightenment experience is solipsistic in that fact you think that you are the only thing that exists. You are God. Basically, you are a brain in a vat. The universe never existed. It was a dream that you had. You are the audience, you are the camera and the screen. And then basically it's you. No one else exists. They're just fucking images on a movie screen in your own mind. And in a way, it's very true. It's basically Descartes was agonized and all these 17th century philosophers. How do we know we're not a brain in a vat? See, you don't. It's basically, it's you are the computer generating the matrix, and you are the matrix. And all these other people are digital images. They don't really exist. That's the first thing, and basically you get this deep and crashing solipsism. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience because the universe is not a threat anymore. You can't die. It's basically it implies a lot. It's an untenable situation. So although it is the kind of truth, because we are absolute points in the universe, and we are the only consciousness we know is ourselves. So you would say that in truth it is absolute, and it's quite legitimate. It's untenable to hold in society. You can't go around saying, "Oh, I'm enlightened, I'm God, you're chopped liver, you're just a dream I'm having." You won't get very far with that. So you have to then develop and incorporate everybody else in another theory of mind, and so it matures to a thing. You say, you know what? It's the same for everybody. Everybody has that solipsistic center. It defies explanation. How you can really have we all God. It's basically, it defies explanation. How can you have 7.8 billion gods? It's just no one knows. God doesn't know. Basically, God's just looking at himself 7.8 billion times. Doesn't make any sense. God picking up machine guns, shooting himself. It's just fucking mad. But that's where you get to. It's you develop away from that solipsism, so it becomes a holism, and then that's cool. Then you can spend time on the internet explaining it to other people. But yeah, I feel like I've left big chunks out. But anyway, I think that's enough that nobody runs off with a stick of dynamite that they go and play with. And basically, yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to do. Is this thing doesn't lend itself to partiality. Okay, so I must say one more thing. Sam Vaknin, right? In terms of this this thing about it's just epilepsy, it's just brain abnormality, it's brain disease, it's we can cure it, it's all of this stuff, right? So it's very easy for the alien cortex, and Sam Vaknin is doing this, and psychologists and stuff are doing this. They're giving say analysis of narcissism. Now, this is a narcissism, and this is the whole thing, but somewhere buried in their narrative is the pathologizing of narcissism. So somewhere in the narrative, they're doing nya, 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 nya. like that person's a narcissist, or even I'm on, in fact, Sam Vaknin himself takes on the label of a narcissist. And somewhere is in there is it's pejorative. Now, it's not really. They thinking in terms of it's a narcissist, somebody's a narcissist, they cause a lot of trouble for other people, and then they need to be stopped from being a narcissist. No. It's the other way around. You need to go further into the narcissism. The narcissism is not going far enough. So it basically, what we're talking about is destruction of ego. So it's basically a small ego. And you say, you got two ways to go. You either inflate it so that it's as big as the universe. Say, I'm the only one that exists. You inflate narcissism to solipsism, and it's ridiculously huge, and you can't hold on to that huge amount of narcissism, and then it pops. It'll pop your ego. You inflate it till the bubble bursts, or you can diminish it. But I don't go there. That's not, you don't want to, especially to someone like a doctor who's thinking in terms of controlling it and diminishing it. So just for someone like Sam Vaknin, you'd say, like, the problem with these pathologies or pathologizing all these things, which are really just human behavior, is they're halfway houses, they're partial. And the thing is, you should fulfill them, you should go deeper into them. So narcissism is not bad, it's just bad when you have a small tot of it. And so you're saying, basically everybody's a narcissist. It's just, you must try and be complete, utter, total, no hold bars narcissist, is just narcissistic as you could possibly be. And then you're on the right track. So yeah, I think that was kind of important to say. What these guys are doing in terms is not good. And it's what the DSM-5 and the things that they're working off, they're as old as the hills. There was, in the Middle Ages, one of the best-selling books was Malleus Maleficarum. And Malleus Maleficarum is just, it was basically diagnose a demon in your neighbor. So basically it was a long list of demons, like the Osgotia. And basically it was so popular because they're doing exactly what Sam Vaknin is doing. They would go and they'd look over the garden fence and they'd go and say, like, I know that woman's a witch. She's such a bitch. And she looked at my husband and blah, 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 and I know that demon. And then, you buy the, Malleus Maleficarum and you look it up and say, I've got it. Look at the diagnosis. This is her. Keeps cats, looks over the guy. Yeah, it's her. And then basically they're going to say, she's got this demon. And then, so that's why it was such a popular book. And these then guys like Vaknin and the psychologists, they're doing exactly the same thing. They've got the DSM-4. It's a diagnostic sorcery manual. I call it, the DSM is diagnostic sorcery manual. It's just fucking Monty Python. They've got every single possible mode of human behavior, and particularly the ones that give control freaks a hard time, those you can underline in red. And then, basically what they're going to do with it is exactly the same as what these people did in the Middle Ages. And they look over the garden fence. And then as soon as they've diagnosed the demon in this antichrist that lives next door, they're going to go and they're going to try and get everybody on board with it. And they're going to try and say, I know. And they're going to go to the village priest and they're going to try and tell the village priest, see, this one is that thing. And they're going to try and get their friends and get little coalitions against this person. And then if they're really successful, they can get that person like burnt as a witch. And it's all about alien cortex and it's about control. So the DSM, the Malleus Maleficarum, is you find out what normal human behavior is, you pathologize it, label it, and if you're really lucky, you get, if you can get somebody to wear that label, you've got control of them because you're nothing but and then whatever the label. And then you can have these little medicines. Instead of me controlling you, take these pills. You control you. And then basically you can look over your garden fence and go, fuck you. And that's all it's about, is like, got you. And it's like, who's going, undiagnosed here? The cunt that bought the Malleus Maleficarum and tried to get his neighbor burnt as a witch. That's the real cunt. And who's that cunt? That's your alien cortex. So all these guys is basically, you should be anti-psychiatry, you should be anti, all these therapists and these guys working off the DSM, you should be anti them very much, because all it is a control narrative, and they studiously keep themselves out of the DSM. But they're the prime suspects. Basically, you say you could collapse the whole DSM into saying doctor. It's a doctor. It's basically, he's got a control narrative. He's trying to control these patients, and basically people, they gather these people up like like cross gathering disciples, just basically by saying these people can't get on in society because society is very, very restrictive. It's got structural pressure, and so people struggle. People just we're just chimps. We're not supposed to live like this. We're not supposed to commute back and forward into work and live by a clock and live in a nuclear family and, spend 8 hours a day in a workplace with people we wouldn't want to be with if you killed us. We're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to go, fuck, you're an ass, and walk away. And you can't. Now you have to sit down and work on a project with the person. It's just abuse. And so people struggle, and then they struggle and say, I don't know why I'm struggling. You're struggling because you're a chimp. Mystery solved. But then they go to a doctor, and then they say to the doctor, I'm struggling. And then he goes and looks and says, what kind of a chimp are you? What kind of manifestation of chimpness are you having given this kind of pressure? And then he's saying, we'll pathologize that. Now you OCD. Now you're a psychopath. Now you're schizophrenic. Now you multiple personality disorder. And let's pick one together. And then basically we can go through, then big pharma. So it's like, oh, this is an industry. And then have these little happy pills so that you can fit in with this prison complex that we created for ourselves. And it's pure madness from stem to stern. And no one will give up on it. Why? Because of the alien cortex, the control narrative. And if we give up on the society, it's saying, actually, alien cortex, we're going to pension you off because you're not really needed. I don't think you ever were. I mean, you weren't contributing stuff. I mean, you got us to the moon, but what the fuck was that all about? And I mentioned Apollo 13 and climate change and how you fucked up the planet. And so we don't really need you. So do you mind just fucking off now? So, we're going to retire you, say goodbye. And so no, you need me. I got to be here. And so no, you don't. But no one will give up. So anyway, that's the thing. It's just, what you can do after you enlighten is you can give up. That is fuck, what a relief. Anyway, you can give up in little stages with that exercise I gave you. So let's call it quits on that. Wow. You can give up at any moment in little micro increments. You can go, okay, too much, pull the ripcord. Okay, I'll just come to my senses. And actually, maybe we should end like that. Let's do it, all of us together. Just close your eye. Okay, just fall still. Feel your weight on the chair. If you feel any tension in your neck or your shoulders, just let it go. Don't rub them, don't make a song and dance, don't move, just let it go. And check your face. See if your jaw is tense. See if your eyes are tense. If you're squinting to look for a T-Rex in the jungle, just let that go. There's no T-Rex. You're alone in a room. It's quiet. You can relax. Relax your legs. Feel your thighs, your feet on the floor, your hands. Feel your clothes on your skin. And now that you feel like there's a kind of weight of your shoulders, now just go out and listen to what you can hear. Stay between your two ears and try and let the sounds come to you. And kind of rest in listening to that. Feel if there's any movement of air on your skin, hands, face. If you can smell anything, just smell without sniffing. Just become aware of your breath without changing it. And then settle on your eyes and the phosphenes behind your eyes. You can see it, or just look at the darkness behind your eyes. And then get a general sense of awareness. Your ears, eyes, weight, taste, clothes on your skin. Have another sweep, an inventory from top to bottom. Make sure it's all relaxed. And just carry on doing that. And then that's it. Just come back to the real world again. And you can feel straight away, just as soon as you open your eyes, you can be like, man, where did that energy come from? And it's like, well, it was like 3 seconds where you weren't bleeding it out into the world. Okay, I hope that was some use to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a great.
Yes.
a great I don't know how to call it. Yes.
Well, just remember it's all for liberation. So
I know. Yeah. It's just. Yeah. I hope Gary's watching this too. He'll watch.
yeah. Anyway, think about it and give it a go, and I'm sure it'll generate lots of questions, and I'll come back. I still thought of lots more to say about it, but I guess
Well,
you got an earful this time.
oh, there's a lot. Yeah. So much laughs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, and we'll get on to surveillance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, fantastic. I hope that was meaningful, and I had fun telling you. So.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's a lot. Oh, wait. One more thing.
Yeah.
Somebody said this is
Very good.
oh, thanks so much. Oh, yeah, certainly. Yeah, for sure. I'm glad it's actually meaningful for me. If you come back and tell me that you got something out, that's hugely meaningful for me, because you see, I don't know that I'm talking into the wind. People go away and say, that guy's such a fuckwit. You see, I don't know.
no, it's extremely meaningful.
Yeah.
And it's helpful. And it's entertaining at the same time as deep. It's really, and it's reassuring too. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of things. I think I'll have to talk about this next week, because I'm just gonna go out for a walk now and just try to. Yeah, this is.
But when you walk, feel your feet on the ground, and
Oh yeah.
yeah. You can do it while you're driving. Anything. It's just even while you're talking to somebody. But it gets a little scary. If you do it while you're talking to somebody, yeah, let's leave that for another day. But that'll be a trip.
I used to do that slightly when I was in stressful, and when I was working as a doctor, and when I was with people who I needed to protect myself from and focus on how I could help, instead of getting all. And I used the kind of thing like that, grounding and feel. And I know it is feasible with somebody.
Yeah. A lot of people know this. They basically say some sales guys. I mean, I know a lot of people that said, "Oh, yeah, this is a standard technique in a lot of things. Everything from like pilots in emergency situations to salespeople." So I used to, back in the day, have sales teams, and I trained salespeople that work for me. And what I teach them to do is to just be quiet, just be absolutely still in front of a client. And then basically the guys would start, nobody likes the silence. So they start filling the silence. And eventually they're telling you all their problems and their wife, and eventually, so, I mean, sometimes it'd be for 2 hours, we'd hear an important CEO of a big corporation, and then after 2 hours, just sitting there, basically in front of 3 sales guys, then the guy would go, Anyway, well, that's me. What are you guys here for? And you've kind of made the sale already before you've even opened your mouth. But that is a well-known technique. You can draw people out with silence. But anyway, that's advanced stuff.
Okay.
Lots more to tell you. But anyway. All right. Well,
Okay, Jim.
enjoy lockdown.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much, Mike. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, no problem. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
I'll see you
Bye.
next week. Bye.
Bye, chimps.